Hi everybody, thank you for being here and welcome to our beginner level yoga flow. So yoga is really, what we're doing here is asana, which is postures, and pranayama, which is breath work. So it's movement with breath and it's combined together. We focus on the breath while we move. We feel really good in our bodies. We get a deep stretch. It's really nice. So I know not all of you at home have a mat. If you do have a yoga mat, please grab it. You don't need any other equipment or props. If you don't have a mat and you're on a wood floor, maybe just bring a little towel to put down for your knees if you want, or for underneath your hips. You can also put down a full-length towel or blanket. The only thing is if it's on a wooden floor and you're going to slide around, then it's better not to have that, and it's better to just have something that will remain stable under you. So other than that, just grab your water and we'll get right into it. So we're going to start in a seated position. I am going to use my towel. I'm going to set my hips down on my towel. So we're going to take Sukhasana, which is easy pose, otherwise known as crisscross applesauce, at school. So you can just sit with your knees bent and then open one knee to the side, bring that heel in towards your other hip, then open the other knee and bring that heel in underneath the shin. All right, so sitting here, let's get nice and tall with our spines, really feeling length from your tailbone to your crown as if there was a string pulling you up from the ceiling. You have really long back here. I want you to close your eyes. And now start to focus on the breath. And for the rest of practice, we're going to take long, slow, deep inhales through the nose and spend the same amount of time exhaling through the nose. So continue breathing through your nose all through the practice and always return to the breath whenever you get into an area of tension in your body or if you find yourself distracted. And while we're here with our eyes closed and focusing on our breath, let's also set an intention. And by that, I mean you can simply decide that you intend to do the full 30-minute practice or that you intend to let your body stretch deeply, or you can make a big intention. You intend to take this time for yourself. Just anything you want to do. Just hold on to that thought for a moment. And then just let the thought flutter away as you flutter your eyes open. That intention will still be with you in your subconscious. But now let's just move on to focus on our movement and the breath. All right, so inhale as you bring your arms overhead. Exhale, twist your torso to the left as you lower your arms down by your sides. So here your right hand will come on top of your left knee and your left hand will come behind you, landing on the mat near the base of your spine. Just giving yourself an easy spinal twist here. Try to keep the length in your back. Remember that feeling of being pulled by a string from the crown of your head. Maybe bend your right elbow so you can pull yourself into that twist a little deeper. Keep breathing in and out through your nose. And then on your next inhale, return to center, bringing your arms overhead. Now we're going to twist our torso to the right, releasing the left hand onto the right knee and your right hand coming behind your back, landing on the mat at the base of your spine, twisting our torso to the right. Again, maybe bending your front elbow, pulling on that knee so you can get a little deeper into the twist, but not if it compromises the integrity of the pose. So not if that causes you to round your back or kind of flip-flop in any way. You just want to stay here with the length in your spine, finding the twist. Deep inhale through your nose and exhale through your nose. And inhale and exhale. One more inhale and exhale. On your next inhale, return to center and bring your arms overhead. Now, briefly release your legs out in front of you and now cross them in the other direction. So just bring the other heel closer to the hip and the other heel underneath the shin. Bring your hands down to rest on your knees. And on your inhale, holding your knees, pull your chest forward. You don't really have to look up very much here. I don't want you jerking your neck back. That's not good for you. So just find a gentle back bend and an opening of your heart. Then on your exhale, holding onto your knees, round your spine back and tuck your chin, looking down at your navel. This is our seated cat. So inhale, seated cow, pulling the chest forward, opening the heart. Exhale, rounding the spine back, looking down at your tummy. Inhale, moving that heart forward, coming to your seated cow. And exhale, rounding that spine, coming into your seated cat, tucking the chin. One more inhale, come forward, bring that chest through, lift the heart, maybe look a little bit up. And exhale, round the spine as you hold your knees, rounding the spine back towards the floor, tucking your chin to your chest. Come to center. Place your hands out on the mat in front of you or on the floor and shift your weight into your hands as you roll forward onto your knees and then release the cross of your ankles behind you. So now if you're on the towel like I am, bring your knees to the towel. Otherwise, if you're on the mat, your knees should already be on the mat. Walk your hands back towards your knees, keeping your hips lifted. Simply lift your torso up and come into this kneeling position. All right. Now I want you to extend your left leg out to the left. Just lift it up and stick it straight out to the left there. So both thighs are still on that same line. And your left toes can either be pointed outward or inward, just whatever kind of feels comfortable for you. This is Parigasana or gate pose. Inhale as you bring your arms overhead. Exhale as you release your left hand onto your left leg and then pull that right arm up and over to the left, finding a side stretch. Good. On your next inhale, come up to center, raise that left arm up, release the right hand down towards the mat, and then pull the left arm up and over to the right. Maybe stretching that right hand down along your right leg, maybe bringing the fingertips to the mat, stretching the opposite side, and come back to center. Bring that left knee back in so you're kneeling again, arms by your side. Let's do the other side. So on your inhale, just simply lift up the right knee and place that right leg out, shooting out towards the side of the room. Toes can be pointed outward or inward. Just check around and see what feels good in your body. All right, inhale, bring your arms overhead. Exhale, release your right hand onto your right leg and then pull the left arm up and over to the right, stretching the side body. Keep breathing, inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Maybe open the heart here. Inhale and exhale. As you come back to center, bring the arms down. Oh, sorry, we got to do the other side. Bring the arms down. Keep that right leg extended out to the side and simply lift up that right arm. Bring it, stretch it over to the left, allowing your left hand to come down, your left leg, maybe those left fingertips come down to the mat. Keep your heart open here. And then on your next inhale, come back to center. And now we bring that knee in and come to kneeling. Okay, from here, we're just gonna take a quarter turn to the right and face the long side of our mat. All right, I'm gonna move my towel to be under my knees. Come into a tabletop position. Here you've got your shoulders right over your wrists and your hips right over your knees. Find a long spine. So it's as if you have one long line from the crown of your head to your tailbone. Your back is really nice and straight here. Just breathe into it. Then tuck your toes under. Push your hands into the mat as you lift your kneecaps up. Then send your hips up and back, starting to straighten those legs out, coming in a down dog, which is kind of an upside down V with your body. Pushing your hands firmly into the mat, really rooting down through all 10 of your fingers and the entireties of your palms. Think of kind of externally rotating your shoulders here. And then think of pushing those thumbs down into the mat so you find a little bit of internal rotation at your forearms. Keep breathing. You can keep your knees bent here, and if this feels a little tight for you in your hamstrings, feel free to widen your legs a little further, or maybe walk them in so you have a little shorter stance. You can do the same thing with your arms. If you're tight in your shoulders, walk those arms out a little wider, or maybe feel what it feels like to walk your hands back in so they're closer to your feet, or maybe even make your dog a little longer. Everybody's going to be different, so just find what feels good in your down dog. I know we're still here, so just keep breathing. Down dog can be challenging when we start yoga, but eventually it becomes kind of a resting pose for us. So keep the knees bent. I want you to bend them even further here. Bend the knees a lot so you can lift that tailbone up really high. Push the tailbone up as you bend the knees. Then start to straighten the legs a little more, getting those heels so that they're melting towards the mat, but you're keeping that length in your spine in that upside down V shape with your body. Let your head hang heavy. No tension in your neck. Keep breathing. On your next inhale, bend your knees as you lift your heels. Look forward in between your hands. Slowly step your feet to the front of the mat in between your hands and hang out in your forward fold. So knees are still bent. Let your arms hang heavy. Maybe grab opposite elbows. And just release any tension here in your forward fold. Your legs can be together or apart. Just let your head hang heavy. Maybe sway from side to side a little bit if that feels good in your body. Then release your elbows. And keeping that bend in your knees, slowly start to roll up to a standing position. Roll up very slowly, letting the hands hang, letting your head be the very last thing to lift as your arms come by your side. Tadasana or mountain pose. Again, feet can be together or apart. Sometimes it will feel a little gentler to start with your feet apart. Just do what feels good in your body. Inhale as you bring your arms overhead. Exhale, hinge and fold forward, coming into a forward fold again. Hands come down near the mat. Maybe they touch in front of your toes. Keep the weight shifted into the balls of your feet here and keep a little bend in your knees. Let your head hang a little heavier. Again, maybe grab for opposite elbows. Maybe that creates a little more weight so you can really lengthen that spine and find space coming closer and closer to the mat in your forward fold. Then release the elbows and slowly roll up to stand again, one vertebra at a time. Head being the last thing to lift. Arms come by your sides for Tadasana. Inhale, bring your arms overhead. Exhale, hinge as you fold forward. Halfway lift now on your inhale. So we're going to lengthen our spines, really find a flat back here. And then exhale as you fold forward again. Bend your knees so you can plant your palms onto the mat. Then step one foot back behind you, landing on the back ball of your foot. Then step the other foot back to join it. So you're in a high plank pose. Now plank is a little bit of a difficult position, so let's lower our knees, take a gentler form of plank, and untuck your toes. You want one long line here, but your knees are down, your shoulders are lifted, and you're really pushing the mat away. So unlike tabletop, your hips are not over your knees here, and your knees are behind your hips. But your hips are still lifted and you find a long line. So maybe you're just developing some strength here. It's still difficult to be in plank on your knees. All right, let's take one more inhale here. On your exhale, bend at your elbows. Start to lower your chest down towards the floor, keeping your arms in close to your body, and then come all the way down. If your toes aren't untucked, make sure you untuck them now. And on your inhale, start to peel your head and your neck and your shoulders up. Try not to use your hands too much here. They're next to your chest on the mat, but we want to use our back muscles to be lifting us up in this back bend. This is Cobra. Hold it for another breath, and then release your head to the mat. Let's do that one more time. Coming into Cobra, inhale as you peel your head, your neck, and your shoulders up. Gaze forward. Maybe come up a little higher. Push the tops of your feet into the mat so your kneecaps lift, and then lower down to the mat. Let's take one more of those. Inhale as you lift your head, your heart, your shoulders. And exhale, release everything down to the mat. Now you push your hands into the mat using the strength of your arms. Lift your hips up and come through tabletop as you tuck your toes under. Maybe walk your hands back a little bit so you can find that tabletop position. Tucking your toes, push the feet and the hands into the mat to lift your kneecaps up, and then send your hips up and back for down dog. Keep breathing. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. On your next inhale, I want you to bend your knees, lift your heels, look forward. Slowly step towards the front of the mat, bringing your feet in between your hands, forward fold. Inhale as you lift up halfway, lengthen your spine. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, rise to stand with a flat back as your arms come overhead. Then exhale, release your arms by your sides. So that series of movement from Tadasana to Tadasana is called Sun Salutation A. It's a series of movements all in a forward-facing position where we stand, we bow, we move back, we do a back bend, and we come back up. All right, so let's move forward. Let's bring our arms overhead. Exhale as you sit your hips back and down. Coming into chair pose. Now in chair, you keep your weight shifted into your heels. Your tailbone is pointing towards the mat, and try to hug your ribs in. So that way you engage your core muscles, your belly. All right, can you shift your weight into your left leg here and lift your foot up off the mat? Keeping that right knee bent, can you cross the outside of the right ankle on top of the left knee, coming into a figure 4 chair? So if you can't do this, just stay in regular chair. You don't have to take the figure 4. The figure 4 just allows us to get a little deeper into the hips. All right, on your next inhale, rise to stand, uncross your legs, and exhale as you hinge forward and fold down to the floor. Inhale, lengthen your spine, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, plant your palms, bend your knees, step both of your feet to the back of the mat or back behind you. Lower your knees, and then exhale as you bend your elbows, chaturanga, that's lowering down halfway. Then come all the way down. Make sure your toes are untucked. Inhale, lift your head, your heart, your shoulders, finding that back bend we took before, cobra pose. Then exhale, bring your head back down to the mat. Push the mat away on your inhale, coming up through tabletop. Tuck your toes under, lift your kneecaps and push your hips up and back, finding down dog, that upside down V. Inhale as you lift your right leg up behind you. Lift it just a little bit. Then bend your right knee and move forward into plank, bringing your shoulders over your wrists and bringing that right knee forward with you. So the right knee comes into your chest, then step it in between your hands. Now it might not land all the way there. It might land back here. You can always pull it forward with your hand. That's okay. There's no right or wrong. All right, stabilize your lower body here. Find stability. And if you're stable in your lower body, your legs, bring your hands to your hips and lift your torso up, coming into Crescent Lunge. Hips are straight up and down here. Your front knee is bent, so right knee is bent. Maybe that knee is stacked right over the ankle, and your back leg is straight. You're on the ball of that back foot. Just breathe here. Gaze at that wall in front of you. If you can, find something, some little speck on the wall, something that you can really stare at that will help you find your balance. That's called a drishti. It's basically our gaze, our focal point. All right, inhale. Can you bring your arms overhead? It's okay if you can't. You can keep your hands at your hips. But if you bring them overhead, then use your right hand to grab your left wrist and then pull your left arm up and over to the right, finding a little bit of a side stretch. Come back to center. Release your arms to a T as you turn your back foot out, releasing that left heel onto the mat, finding Warrior 2. Warrior 2, we'd like heel to arch alignment. That means the front heel should line up with the back arch. So if it's not lined up, maybe walk that front foot in a little bit. Push the outer edge of the back foot into the mat. And then try to make sure your knee is not kind of dumping inward. You want to push it out so the knee, the front right knee, which is bent, is pointed towards the outer edge of that right foot. Arms are extended to a T, gaze over the right hand. Take another breath here in warrior two. And then inhale as you straighten your right leg, keeping your arms as they are. Now tilt the hips back a tiny bit as you reach your right fingertips forward towards the front of the room as if you could touch the wall. When you can't reach any further, you release that right hand onto your shin, lift the left arm to the sky for triangle pose, also known as Trikonasana. You can gaze down at that right foot, forward at the wall, or up at your left thumb. So many options in yoga. Take what feels good in your body. Take one more breath here, and then inhale as you bend that right knee. Come back up into warrior two. Then pivot onto the ball of your back foot so you turn your hips forward to the front of the room, arms come overhead. You'll find yourself back in crescent lunge. Good. Breathe here. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale. Exhale as you release your hands to the mat, framing that right foot. Step the right foot back to the back of the mat, meeting your left foot, coming into that high plank pose. Lower your knees to the mat, untucking your toes. And on your exhale, bend your elbows, keeping your arms in close. Chaturanga, lower halfway. Then lower all the way down. Inhale, peel your head, your heart, your shoulders up. Look forward for your cobra pose. Exhale as you lower to the mat. Push your hands into the mat so you can lift your hips up, coming into tabletop. Tuck those toes under, hover the kneecaps, and then push the hips up and back for your down dog. That upside down V with your body. Good job, Ambrose. All right, on your next inhale, lift your left leg up just a little bit. Then move forward with your left leg lifted so that your shoulders come over your wrists. Bend that left knee so the left knee comes into your chest. Can you now step the left foot through in between your hands? Maybe it lands here and you have to give it a little bit of help. That's okay. So once you've got that left foot in between your hands and you've found stability in your lower body with your left knee bent, right leg straight, you can bring your hands to your hips and lift your torso up. Find your crescent lunge pose. Keep breathing here. See if your hips are tilting forward a little bit. So your hands are on your hips. Are they tilting? If they are, bend that back knee a little bit to kind of untilt your hips. And then keeping that straight up and down with your hips, maybe then you can straighten out that back leg again, staying on the ball of that back foot. If you want, bring your arms overhead. Then grab the right wrist with your left hand, if your arms are up, and pull the right hand up and over to the left, finding a bit of a side stretch. Come back to center. Release the clasp of the hands. Bring your arms to a T as you release your right heel onto the mat, turning those hips out to the right, coming into warrior two. Keeping that left knee bent, right leg is straight, arms are out in a T. Gaze over your left fingertips. Now again, if you have heel to arch alignment, that's what we want here. So your front heel is lined up with the arch of your back foot, and your front knee, your left knee, is pointing towards the outer edge of your left foot. Building strength in warrior two, also known as Virabhadrasana. Keep breathing. Try to keep your torso straight up and down here. All right, on your next inhale, straighten your left leg. Tilt those hips back a little bit, so kind of just move them back a little bit. And then really reach forward with your left fingertips like you'd reach the wall in front of you. And when you can't reach any further, release that left hand onto your left shin. Right arm comes to the sky. You can look down, forward, or up, your choice. Taking Trikonasana, triangle pose. One of my favorite poses. It's strengthening, it's stretching. It looks cool. All right, take another breath. And then on your next inhale, bend that left knee. Bring the torso up, arms come to a T. You come back through warrior two. And then you pivot onto the ball of your right foot. So your hips turn forward, arms come overhead, crescent lunge. Left knee is bent, back leg is straight. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. One more inhale. Exhale, bring your hands down to the mat, framing your left foot. Then step that left foot to the back of the mat next to your right foot. Lower your knees down, untuck your toes, and exhale as you chaturanga, which is lowering down halfway, bending at your elbows, then lower all the way to the mat. Inhale, take your cobra, little back bend. Exhale, bring your head to the mat. Inhale as you push your hands into the mat, lifting your hips up, coming through tabletop. Tuck your toes under, lift your kneecaps, send those hips up and back, down dog. Hang out in your dog, inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, bend your knees, lift your heels, look forward. Slowly and gently step your feet to the front of the mat, in between your hands. Hang out in your forward fold. On your inhale, halfway lift, lengthen your spine, make it straight. Exhale as you fold forward again. On your next inhale, arms come up as you rise to stand with a flat back, and then you release your arms by your sides. Let's do the figure 4 chair on the other side, or just regular chair if you don't want to do the figure 4. So inhale as you bring your arms overhead. Exhale, sit your hips down. This time, really placing that weight into your right foot. Your right leg is strong. Start to lift your left heel up off the mat. Then maybe the left toes. Both knees are bent, but the left foot is lifted. Now can you cross the outer edge of your left ankle on top of your right knee? Sinking a little deeper into your hips, wrapping the ribs in to really use your core. Take another breath. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale as you rise to stand, then release your left foot down by the mat and your arms come down by your sides. Good. Inhale, bring your arms overhead. Exhale, hinge forward and fold. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen your spine. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees, plant your palms on the mat and step your feet to the back of the mat. Lower your knees down. Find that plank on your knees and then bend your elbows, chaturanga. Lower all the way to the mat. Now this time, instead of cobra, we're going to take a little bit of a deeper back bend. Walk your hands out in front of you. So you're reaching towards the front of the room. And your legs are reaching to the back of the room. The feet are untucked here, so make sure the tops of your feet are on the mat. And we're going to take a Superman pose, which is also known as locust or shalabhasana. To do that, we're going to inhale, lift our head up, lift our heart, lift our shoulders, and then also lift our hands and our arms. Try to bring those arms by the ears. This is like the half locust version. On your next exhale, come down. Now we're going to add something on. On your next inhale, lift your head, your heart, your shoulders. Lift your arms. Arms come by your ears. Can you lift your feet up? Can you lift your knees, maybe your thighs? Really flying in that Superman. And then lower to the mat. We have one more option. You can take another Superman, either version, or you can take bow. Bow, you reach back with your hands, kick your feet in towards your hips, and then grab the tops of your feet or the ankles with your hands. And then we're going to lift up. So whichever option you choose. Inhale, start to lift your head, your heart, your shoulders. Lift your arms if you're in locust. If you're in bow, kick those feet into your hands so you can lift up higher, lifting the knees, lifting the thighs. Take another breath. And then lower down to the mat. Good. Bring your hands to the outside of your chest. Push the mat away as you lift up your hips. Open your knees a little bit wider than your hips and set your hips back and down onto your heels, taking child's pose. So good. Take a deep inhale through your nose, and this time sigh it out through your mouth for a lion's breath. One more of those. Inhale through your nose. And exhale, sigh it out, lion's breath. All right, push your hands into the mat as you lift your hips up. And just kind of come down to your side, the side of your hips. Bring your feet around in front of you, and you're going to lay down on your back. I'm going to move this mic. All right, so with your knees bent and your soles of your feet on the mat and your back on the mat, bring your right knee in towards your chest. Now grab the bottom of your right foot if you can, or maybe just the outside of your right shin. push the right knee away from you so that you can put the outside of your right ankle on top of your left knee. So we did this earlier in our figure 4 chair. So this is our figure 4 reclined position, also known as reclined pigeon. You can stay here if this is enough for you. You don't have to go further. If you want to, keeping your legs in this shape, lift your left foot up off the mat, bringing that left thigh in closer, keeping that cross of your right leg. Then you can reach forward and through, threading that right hand in between the shape, left hand to the outside of your left leg, maybe grabbing under your left knee or outside of your left shin. You don't have to take it Ambrose. You can stay in the first variation with it down on the mat. Yeah, you can stay just like that. There's no reason to take a position you don't want to take or that is really uncomfortable for you. Stay in the variation that works in your body. Take another breath in whichever position you're in. If you're wherever you are, you should have your back flat on the mat. So if your neck is lifting and you're arching your back, maybe come out of it a little bit and take a gentler variation. Okay, keeping the shape of your legs, simply release your left foot to the mat. Now tee your arms out to the side. Then lower the entire shape of your legs to the left. So your right knee will point up at the ceiling. You'll feel a hip stretch here, outer right hip, and you'll also get a little bit of a spinal twist. Keep breathing. Just continue to send that breath through the body, allowing yourself to focus on the breath. Whenever you're in areas of tension, just return to the breath. And then from here, reach up with your left hand to grab the outer right knee and allow that right knee to be pulled down towards the mat. So you're twisting further. Maybe your right shoulder will lift up off the mat. That's okay, but you do want to try melting it down into the mat. You're getting more of a spinal twist here and less of a hip stretch now. Then very gently open your arms out, uncrossing that right leg, bring it on top of your left, and then bring both knees into center. Let's take the other side. Bring that left knee in close towards your chest. Then grab the left shin so you can push the left knee outward and put the outside of the left ankle on top of the right knee. Staying here if you want, or lifting the right foot so you can bring the shape in towards your body. Maybe you grab the underside of your right knee or the outside of your right shin. Just remember, if you find yourself arching your back or in your neck, you might want to take a gentler variation. You'll feel it in your hips wherever you are, so just be there. Just be comfortable to know where you are and what feels good in your body. And keeping the legs as they are, if your right foot is lifted, lower the right foot down to the mat. You still have the cross of the legs. Open your arms to a T and drape this entire shape down towards the right. So your left knee is lifted towards the ceiling now. You'll feel maybe an outer hip stretch in your left hip, a little bit of a spinal twist. Just continue to breathe. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Reach your right hand forward. Grab the top of your left knee, and this time allow the left knee to be pulled in more towards the mat, coming deeper into a spinal twist. Maybe your left shoulder lifts off the mat a little bit. That's okay, but you do want to try to melt it back down so that you can really feel the twist of your spine. It doesn't need to be all the way on the mat. It's just the gentle direction we're moving in so we can feel that twisting of our spine. Take another breath here. And then uncross that left foot from the knee, just bringing the left knee on top of the right knee, and then bringing both knees into center. Lengthen the legs out on the mat, open the feet up at least as wide as the mat. If you don't have a mat, that means a little bit wider than your shoulders, wider than your hips. Bring your arms down by your sides so your palms face up. Make sure there's some space in between your rib cage and your arms. And now we're moving into our final resting pose, which is called Shavasana. In this pose, we really just kind of integrate everything we just did. We integrate and let it go. So we just let our body process it. It's really important to take this resting pose, take this time to just sit in it and be in it, or lie in it rather. So close your eyes. Try to melt all that tension away. Try to release the breathing patterns you developed. Really let everything go. And find some stillness in our resting pose, Shavasana. Slowly start to come back to the space, to the room. Maybe just move your fingers and your toes. Then bend your knees, bring the soles of the feet to the mat. Keep your eyes closed and either roll to one side or the other, or simply grab underneath your knees, one or both, to rock yourself up to a seated position. If you've rolled to one side or the other, then you can place your hands on the mat and push them into the mat to lift yourself up. And then take whatever seated position feels good to you. You can be on your knees. You can have crisscross applesauce. Really, whatever feels good in your body at this moment. So keeping your eyes closed, let's return to the breath. Inhale through your nose and exhale through your nose. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. If you haven't already thought about it, maybe return to the thought of your intention that was set at the beginning of practice. Let that sink in for a moment. On your next inhale, bring your arms up overhead. Bring the palms to touch, and then exhale as you bring your hands down in front of your heart center. Take a deep breath. I'm so grateful for all of you who practiced today. Thank you so much for joining us. Namaste.